So here's what I would say when we do these relaxation exercises is if your body tells you to fall asleep, fall asleep. Enjoy it, what you said. Don't resist. There's only a couple times that we'll do these where I would say kind of resist the urge to fall asleep. But if it feels like you should sleep, that's your body saying, okay, we're going to go into deeper levels of rest right now, and let it. Because you'll have some of the deepest sleep you've had in a long time if you let that happen. So don't resist it. It's quite okay to fall asleep like that. If you do this and you find yourself falling asleep pretty frequently, it's a good indication you just need a little more sleep. And you're now giving yourself the right environment and the right physiology so that you can take advantage of it. So, and most of us need more sleep anyway. I mean, that's just kind of a given that we're all on the underside of how much sleep we need. And we'll talk about sleep a little bit later on.
Explain why we had our feet and our calves on a chair rather than just lying flat.
Yeah, it's a good question. The reason why we do this particular one, later on we'll spend a little bit of time doing yoga. And in yoga there are quite a few positions that you put your body in. They call them inverted poses, where your feet are higher than your heart and your head. And by putting your feet up just a little bit, I mean, in fact, we may do one in here where we'll lie next to the wall and put our legs straight up and down. What?
I do that for my dog.
Yeah. Most people do this from time to time because it feels naturally good. All we're doing is playing with gravity, helping gravity restore blood flow this way instead of as we sit kind of and stand in this position all day. Blood flow tends to pool down here, so it's kind of it's not a lot, but what's that? Exactly. Kind of get the blood flow balanced back up. And because when we do yoga, a lot of the times there's stand on your head, shoulder stand, there's downward dog. There's all kinds of poses that are designed so that your head's lower than everything else. And I think it's a gravity thing with blood flow more than anything. I mean, there's probably other reasons, but it's not really so important how you feel during. It's nice to feel good during it. It's nice to feel, that resting feeling. But my interest in doing these relaxation exercises is how are you feeling afterwards? And not just like right now, but in the next hour or 2 or 3. Do you have more energy? Do you feel more alive? Do you feel more alert? Do you feel more clear-headed as opposed to foggy thinking? Do you feel like you could take on stuff instead of being really fatigued? And the more that you do this, where you turn off the stress, the more that'll be your ongoing feeling. It's fine to fall asleep or feel good during it, but I'm much more interested in how you're feeling when you're doing everything else. We don't do them just to do them. We do them so that we can do everything else that we do better. So here's one thing that'll happen a lot is you'll discover, like the one we'll do in a couple weeks, you'll discover that will be the one that you'll want to do before every test you ever take. Because your mind will be so clear. There's two of them in here that we'll do that are and I did. When I was back in school, I would always do this or that one before every single test because I knew I wanted Einstein brain in there because I don't have much Einstein brain. I got a tiny, tiny amount. So I need as much of it as possible when I'm taking a test or needing to write a paper or something. And so you'll learn to do this right beforehand. You'll go into the test and your mind will be just clear as a bell. And all the things you've been studying will just flood into your mind instead of brain fog. Last thing that I want you to do is, now that we've done this once in here, what we will do every time is I want you to do it 2 more times on your own. How many in here does it take you longer than 5 minutes to fall asleep at night? How many in here are like, head hits the pillow, 10 seconds later you're gone? So everyone hates you guys, right? If it takes you longer than about 5 minutes to fall asleep, does it take anyone longer than 30 minutes on the average? Longer than an hour? Sometimes, okay? And this is not a judgment. Again, I'm not saying you're bad or wrong for that being the case, but it's really frustrating to just be lying there wishing sleep would happen. When sleep should come naturally. And so one of the times that you will do these relaxation exercises is right before you fall asleep. So the assignment will be to do it once in an afternoon, so kind of in between the day's activities and the evening's activities. So like somewhere between 3 and 6, just you'll put on your headphones, click it on your phone, and then 20 minutes later you're done. But you'll want to do this on your own, preferably in your bedroom, somewhere where you won't be disturbed, where nobody else is going to see you, where you have kind of like what you were saying, Jen, of your own perfect environment as opposed to this less than perfect but still good environment. So you're going to do it once in the afternoon, and then I want you to do it once as the last thing you do before you fall asleep. Now, let me be very clear about this. I don't mean the last thing you do and then you're going to read a book, or the last thing you do and then you're going to go brush your teeth, or something else that you might do at your house. It's the very last thing, so much the last thing that you'll do it preferably in bed, although this one invites you to put it, your feet up. But if I were doing it at my house, I would just put 2 or 3 pillows up as opposed to a chair, and just have it in my bed. And anytime during that, I'm just gonna fall asleep and watch what happens. It has to be the last thing. If you don't do it the last thing, if you do it and then you decide, okay, I'm gonna go down and get a bite to eat or something, you'll have so much energy, you'll want to clean your house twice. My thinking is, and my experience with doing this for 20 years is, if you have any problems at all falling asleep, unless you're on some really heavy medication, which I'd like you to try and wean off of, don't just stop, but we've fixed just about every sleep problem that's come through this class, both online and face-to-face class. Because your body, once it's down here, goes, oh, when you're lying down, I know what to do, because that's what I did when I was 2. I fell asleep when I lie down. Boom. And you'll get your mind off of all the things that are tomorrow and yesterday stuff by focusing on what it is. And we'll discuss that idea later on. But do you get the idea? Does that make sense to everyone? Watch what happens. This might just be the coolest thing. Do you want to hear something really, I don't know if weird or creepy is the word. You know what I mean? I still have people. In fact, I spoke at this. I was a keynote speaker at this conference last month. This hospital conference asked me to come speak. And there were 4 people after that who came up to me, and they'd been in this class or the online class 10 years ago. And they said to me, you're still the last thing I hear every night before I fall asleep. I said, really? You can't think of anything? They said, those things work and they still work, and I love them.